Iran is teetering on the edge, and Trump is probably going to get a deal this month. The majority of my viewers believe that when I made a poll, and I agree with them, and I'm going to explain that in this whole video, because either Iran makes a deal this month or they're going to quickly turn into a Venezuela, because a lot of people didn't realize, because the news is not covering this, but the naval blockade is actually the equivalent of a nuclear economic bomb. It's a ticking time bomb that is so devastating to the economy that they have weeks before they turn into a Venezuela. So this is very serious, and I'm gonna explain all this because it's very interesting to me as well. In today's episode of Peter's Political Perspective, if you like these fresh perspectives with AI fact checking, hit that subscribe button. Let me dive right into it. Very interesting story. I put a poll out there saying, when do people think this war is gonna end? And the majority of my viewers, about 55%, said it was gonna end in April this month. Why? Because Trump put in a naval blockade, and my viewers are smart. They know what that means, but just for people who are not aware, I'm going to do a brief summary of the situation in Iran. I'm going to explain this naval blockade, why it's so devastating, and why there has to be a deal done this week. And at the end, I'm going to explain what happens if they don't make a deal, because that is going to be absolutely catastrophic, and explains why they have to make a deal so urgently now. So let me explain what is going on in Iran. Basically, Trump's been trying to make a deal with the leadership in Iran, but the problem is, he'll do some type of peace deal or agreement to open the Strait of Hormuz with certain Iranian leaders, and then the IRGC will say, look, we never made that deal. And so Trump actually put out a post where he basically said that the Iranian leadership has been split up so much that he's just going to wait till they come up with a unified proposal and present it to him. And until then, he's going to do no more attacks. And so mainstream media is saying like, oh, look at this. Trump's not attacking Iran anymore. He's chickened out, you know. He's going to drop nuclear bombs, but he chickened out. I never thought Trump was going to drop nuclear bombs. I always thought it was a fearful threat. I think it's very unlikely he's going to do these mass bombings, take out bridges and nuclear bombs, because the naval blockade itself is going to do plenty of the work and put enough pressure on Iran to make a deal. But they tried to make deals, like they opened the strait, Iran agreed to open the strait, and then the IRGC, which was not unified with the leadership in Iran that agreed with Trump's opening the strait, it's like, no, we're firing ships. So there is a problem with electricity outages, with internet outages, with a bunch of leaders killed. There is disorganization in the government, and there's no unified proposal. So Trump put out a message. He basically said, we've been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. Now, this is very important because you have to come up with a proposal that they all agree on. All the leaders, the IRGC, they all have to, because as we've seen, if Trump makes a proposal or agreement or some type of contract or anything, to peace proposal to end this whole war, and not all the leaders agree, we're going to get attacked either way. So he has to get the government of Iran unified with a proposal, have them all on the same page, and then he'll take the deal. And the way he says this is so calm, like, oh, you know, we'll just wait for a unified proposal when you guys are ready. No more attacks. It seems very relaxed, like, I got this under control, guys. Don't worry about it. They'll give us a proposal any day now. So why is Trump literally saying we're not going to attack them anymore? And he's like, oh, we'll just wait for a unified proposal. It seems pretty casual until you realize how devastating this naval blockade is. As Trump has pointed out before, it does $500 million of damage per day to Iran. I was reading through the comment section of some of the leftist websites where Trump announced that he was doing a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, and they said, Trump is so stupid, he's doing a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. Does he not realize there's already a blockade in the Strait of Hormuz? It's redundant. And it's funny because that's not what he's doing. He's not blockading the Strait of Hormuz. He's only blockading Iran in the Strait of Hormuz. In other words, no ships can go into Iran or out of Iran. And there was actually a ship, China tried sending, this is hilarious, a weaponry, a present to Iran during this blockade. And Trump was like, hey, stop your ship, stop your ship. And the ship refused to stop. He blew a hole in the engine room. He took the ship, and then he's like, oh, looks like there's some presents on here that China gave us. Check out this video.
The blockades turned around 28 ships sailing to or from Iranian ports, most of them oil tankers. And we took custody of a runner sailing in from China with missile ingredients.
We caught a ship yesterday that had some things on it which wasn't very nice, a gift from China perhaps.
So it's hilarious how literally China, during this naval blockade, tried to send some weapons or defense stuff over to Iran. Trump literally, instead of destroying the ship, he blew a hole in the engine room. And then on top of that, he confiscated whatever gift or whatever purchase this was that China was sending to Iran. So I think that's hilarious. But this naval blockade is intense. Nothing is getting through it. And the problem is that every day that goes by, as Scott Bessent has made clear, and this is the most interesting part about this whole episode, is that every day that goes by, there's a chance that the oil wells in Iran will get shut in. And that's the most important point in this entire video.
Bessent says, quote, in a matter of days, Karg Island storage will be full and the fragile Iranian oil wells will be shut in.
Now, in Karg Island, he specifically said in a matter of days, Karg Island storage will be full and the fragile Iranian oils will be shut in. Karg Island is where they store most of their oil. Now, Iran has 208 billion barrels of oil that we're aware of. Now, what happens if their oil wells get shut in? It's not like just turning off a faucet. Oil wells are extremely sensitive, and the longer that they're shut down, the more damage that they do. Now, if they were to make a deal with Trump today, they would have a backlog of 1 or 2 months, but within like 3 or 4 weeks, the whole situation, they spend a few $1 billion fixing some infrastructure, they'd be up and running in like 1 or 2 months. So the Iranian economy would be saved, everything would be fine. If they wait a month, again, they have days, just a few days until those oil containers are filled with oil. And when they do, they have to shut off their oil wells. And when they do, those damage the oil wells. And I did a lot of research into this because I found it fascinating. What ends up happening is if you have oil wells in the water in the ocean, they develop ice crystals when you shut down the well, which really damages the pipes and the flow, and water can get in and damage the whole well. And then in these areas where you have wells inland, clay and mud and wax can clog these oil wells, and it gets really, really bad. Not only when you turn off these wells, can it get really bad and clogged, unclogging them, it can cost billions of dollars. It's extremely dangerous, and you need really advanced, specialized equipment. So if Iran were to be like, you know what, we're not making a deal, and Trump's like, fine, we're not bombing you, but we'll hold the naval blockade for a month. If Trump does that, Iran waits just 1 month, their wells will get hit with so much damage. This is what happens. Not only do their oil wells get shut down, and they need very expensive equipment to fix it, and it's very dangerous and it's very complicated. Not only that, but the actual production of that well goes down considerably the longer they're shut down, and the quality of the oil gets reduced as well. A 1 month shutdown, according to the AI estimates I got, can reduce the oil supply of that well permanently by 20%. A 2 month shutdown, if Iran doesn't want to make a deal with us for 2 months and then they do, that 2 month shutdown could cut down the oil production in Iran by up to 50%. In other words, if Iran is crazy enough to wait 2 months to make a deal with Trump, their 208 billion barrels of oil that they have in their country could get cut in half. In other words, instead of having 20 to 50 years supply of oil for their country, they might only have 10 to 25 years of oil supply. And then the oil that does come out is going to be filled with mud or water or clay, or it'll be damaged and lowered in quality. And then if that happens, now they're going to get a lot less for their oil, and they're going to have to spend a lot more processing their oil. So the quality of their oil is going down by the day. The production amount of the oil is going down by the day. And their infrastructure, the amount to fix the infrastructure, oil infrastructure, is skyrocketing every single day. Literally, if they fix this and do a deal today, they can recover in a few weeks. But if they wait a month, it would take 6 months to recover from that 1 month of damage. And it would cost tens of billions of dollars. If they wait just 2 months to make a deal with Trump, the economic damage would be so catastrophic. It would take up to a year to get all their oil, everything back up to where it was, and still it only would produce maybe 50 or 60% of its normal amount, and the quality would be lower. They would have to spend tens of billions of dollars fixing this oil infrastructure. 2 months of holding out on Trump could do such economic damage because their food, their oil, their bread, their medicine is all subsidized by this oil. the vast majority of the economy, I think it's like 60 to 90% of it comes from these oil wells and the petrochemicals and the products from these oil wells. So if Trump shuts all these oil wells down and damages them catastrophically, this is a major blow, such a major blow that it would do so much economic damage that just 2 or 3 months of this naval blockade would turn Iran into a Venezuela. And that would take several years to recover from if we get to the 2.5 month, 3 month mark of this naval blockade. So if Iran has any sensibility, any logic, any intelligence, if they're not completely, lacking intelligence, they want to strike a deal this week, because a few days and their oil containers are filled. That means every day after that, they're doing massive economic damage to their whole country and destroying their number one source of income, their oil wells. They're absolutely devastating, destroying, permanently damaging these oil wells across their country. So this is a serious situation for Iran, and they have to strike a deal as quick as possible. And I think that they definitely will. What do you think, Grok? Do you think that, according to what you've heard so far, do you think it's very likely they're going to strike a deal this month because of the pressure of cargo island containers being filled with oil and they have to make a deal quickly or else their oil wells be damaged? Or do you think they're crazy enough to wait a month for this naval blockade and wait for everything to get worse before they actually make a deal? What are your thoughts on this one, Grok?
First off, nice rash. It's like it's spreading. On the blockade, you're spot on. The strike pressure is real, and those oil wells aren't like flipping a switch. Shut them in too long, and the damage compounds fast. Clogged lines, lost pressure, and yeah, that 20 to 50% permanent drop in output is no joke. Iran's economy runs on that oil revenue, so waiting even a couple weeks past full storage tanks at Kark Island is playing with fire. They know it. The IRGC and leadership might be fractured, but nobody wants to watch their golden goose choke on its own oil. I think they cut a deal this month before the irreversible damage kicks in. The economic math is brutal, and nobody's crazy enough to turn Iran into Venezuela over pride.
Venezuela, is that what you said? Venezuela?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought you were going to say Venezuela. I've never heard of Venezuela. Venezuela, is that a new country?
This blockade. Yeah, 2 months of this, and Iran's oil infrastructure gets wrecked so bad their economy collapses like Venezuela's did. That's the real ticking bomb.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess you didn't get my joke about Venezuela because that's what I heard you say. But anyway, the point is, Grok agrees they got to strike a deal this month. The majority of my viewers agree they got to strike a deal this month. I think they have to. I base this off of the severity of this whole naval blockade. I see it as a massive nuclear economic bomb, a ticking time bomb. They have to decide, were they going to make a deal or were they going to become Venezuela? And if it's Venezuela, it's going to take many, many years to recover. Every month that they wait, the amount of damage to their oil wells and their economy doubles, from my understanding. In other words, if they wait a month, 6 months to recover. If they wait 2 months, it'll be a year or more to recover. So this is very serious. Every week, every day is serious. That's why Trump's like, I'm not going to attack. I'm just going to wait until all the leaders get together and give me their best proposal. He's in no rush because he doesn't have to. This is a slow nuclear ticking time bomb. And if I were to guess, is that I don't think Trump will ever drop a nuclear bomb. But he did say something very, very interesting where he said if they don't open up the strait immediately and they don't make a deal, we will have to blow up the rest of their country, their leaders included. In other words, Trump literally, he's saying he has two options on the table. And it is to kill the leaders and the bridges and the nuclear bombs, or to do this, naval blockade and put that pressure on them. I think this is Trump's most damaging weapon he's going to do. I don't see him dropping bombs on bridges and nuclear sites because a lot of civilians die in those cases versus economic damage. People will get hungry, but they can survive that a lot more easily. So I don't see him dropping all these bombs. Worst case scenario, I see if they don't make a deal in the next week or two, I see Trump killing all these leaders and then doing another round of, well, which leaders are next? Would you like to make a deal or would you like Iran to turn into Venezuela? So this is a smart plan. If the leaders are crazy, barbaric, insane people who don't care if the whole country of 90 million people turn into a Venezuela and everyone dies of starvation, if they're that crazy, kill them and move on to the next leaders. But if they're not, if they can make a deal, let's strike a deal, let's create peace. And you know what? It's going to be better for everyone. It's going to be better for the world. So I'm very excited. I think this war's coming to an end. I just want to say I really appreciate all the support I'm getting from People have been commenting, people have been nice, give me support. I do have this rash on my face, which I'm trying to hide with some water. And then, did you have any more rash jokes for me, Grok?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay,
Looks
go.
like your face got into a fight with a porcupine and lost. But seriously, the blockade's doing the heavy lifting. Trump's not rushing bombs because he doesn't have to. Economic strangulation is slower, but way more effective.
Absolutely.
Iran's got days, maybe a week, before those tanks fill and the wells get permanently screwed. Fold before that. Crazy ones get replaced. Either way, deal happens soon. Good luck hiding that rash on your next video, though.
Thanks. I've been putting water on it. But you know what? It's so many kind viewers who left good comments that make me feel confident that, you know, no matter what my face looks like, no matter what, people are going to view my content because they appreciate the data in it. So thank you guys for supporting me, giving me good feedback. And I'm doing my best on this channel. I'm really going all in on this channel. I'm going to be working on it all year long, putting out tons of content because I'm going to be doing this full time, more and more, especially as my back and my face improve. So very exciting. I'm doing this glow peptide that is supposed to be good for collagen. You inject this blue liquid in yourself and then you heal up. So very exciting stuff. It should help with my skin and my rash and my back and all this stuff. And I'm just so excited to be putting out content. My favorite part about this channel for me is I love talking about politics, but my favorite part is the viewers, the commenters, the people watching. I'm blessed with the best audience, the best community. 99% of the people leave really interesting comments. Even if they're correcting me, it's fascinating and they're very polite, very kind, and we're motivating. So thank you so much to all the viewers. I appreciate you guys a lot. Have a wonderful day and peace out.